Hi everybody, it's Perry Cohen here at the Glenview Golf Course alongside Brother Ron. And you know, as an alumni director, we're always trying to highlight some of the great stories in the Alumni Association. There's tons of them. With 12,000 alumni here in our association, 12,000 brothers, there's a ton of stories to tell. And today we're at the Glenview Golf Course, as we just said, covering the Companions on a Journey, a very special group. You know, having lost a brother myself in 2000 in a house fire at the University of Dayton, it's something that is close to my heart. And even prior to joining Moeller High School, I was introduced to Companions on a Journey, and I can tell you right now that they are doing things that are really transforming the lives of young men in our Catholic schools. Sit back and relax as we introduce you to the Munifo family, a Moeller family who started this special Companions on a Journey.
It was my mom's vision after our dad passed that she saw that there was a need for children that have grieved a loss. And so really how COJ came apart was she founded it, saw the whole vision and what she could do for young individuals out in the community.
Our family's hearts were touched by Moeller when my husband and I moved back to Westchester when our son Tony was in the 4th grade. And it was our sons Tony and my husband Vince's dream for Tony to one day go to Moeller, play football, get his education, be able to go off to college. Well, little did I know, with my husband's illness, my husband had been diagnosed with cancer at the age of 29 and died at the age of 39, but it was Tony's first day of freshman year of high school. And hours before his death, I didn't know whether or not I should send Tony to school. And I put it into the hands of God, and I just said, Lord, if I'm meant to send Tony, then please let Vince's blood pressure stabilize. It did stabilize. A few hours later, Tony walked into his dad's room and said, Dad, I'm off to Moeller, our dream come true. And that was Vince's final dream. It had come true because of Tony walking into the doors of Moeller High School.
Him and I always talked about going to Moeller and carrying out our dream together. And so I'll never forget freshman year, walking into Moeller High School, being a freshman, being super excited. And a student grabbed me and said, hey, Father Mike would like to speak to you. And I remember thinking to myself, I just rode the bus here. There's no way I could already be in trouble. And I went up, saw Father Mike, and right away I knew something happened. And I looked at Father Mike and I said, my father passed away, didn't he? And he just said, why don't you have a seat? Your family's coming to get you, and they should be here shortly. Well, I had a family member come get me, met my mom at the front door, and that's when she told me. Some of the things I'll never forget is, you know, at my father's visitation, the entire freshman football team being there. Coach Shannon, the other coaches, at the funeral they were all there. It was literally like the Moeller family kind of wrapped me in the palm of their hands and carried me through and guided me through all throughout critical years of my development in high school. I even remember, you know, Mr. Kramer sitting me down if I made a mistake or got in trouble. He would really sit down and question, you know, some of my decision making and why did I do that. And it wasn't about getting a detention. It wasn't about you know, getting in trouble with the school. It was more about guiding me as an individual and making sure that I was going down the right path in life. And I feel like Moeller for me was there through the critical years of my development where I could have really gone down two forks in the road. And fortunately, with Brother Ron, Brother Flaherty, Mr. Kramer, and many of the other faculty, they really make sure that they were there to guide me down the right path constantly.
When someone you love dies, you feel like somebody's reached in your chest and pulled your heart out. It's a pain like no other. For me, I remember feeling, okay, God, go ahead and take us, because the cry of my children, to this day, if I talk about it too long, I will be in tears, and it's ongoing. And children need somebody to validate their feelings and emotions. A lot of times, mom or dad are grieving, and children are afraid to really share, well, I'm hurting too, because what if something happens to mom? What if something happens to dad?
When tragedy strikes, there's really two different paths you can take in life. You can go down a dark tunnel and, you know, feel like you're depressed. Why me? Why did this happen to our family? Or you can look at it the way we look at it. And, you know, when our father was diagnosed, he was given less than a year to live, and he ended up living 10 years. And I'll never forget, my mother told me, hey, you need to go talk to somebody about it. And I wasn't a big believer about that in the beginning. And I ended up going and seeing 5 different therapists, but ultimately I ended up seeing Father Mike at Moeller. I remember sitting down with him and he said, "I get you." And I said, "Well, what do you mean you get me?" He's like, "I lost my father when I was in high school as well." Immediately I understood that he understood the pain and the grief that I was going through. And so all these kids throughout life, unfortunately, face different tragedies or experiences that really shape them to who they are today, but they need the right mentors, the right guidance around them in order to really make them productive and understand that, don't go down this path. Really learn from it and move forward. That loved one that you lost, whether it was a friend, a sibling, a parent, a grandparent, what would they want you to do? And the Companions on a Journey really does that. They sit down with you, they listen to you. You're working with people that have shared the same experiences that you have so they can relate to you. Just like Father Mike related to me, that's what COJ is all about. Making sure that we sit down and understand the individual for who they are and where they want to go, and making sure that we give them the right tools, the right resources to get them there. And just like Moeller helped me, COJ wants to be there to help all the other kids that are dealing with some sort of grief in their lives.
So pretty powerful stuff right there from the Munafo family and Companions on a Journey. I want to thank Sheila Munafo, and of course also want to thank Tony and Mike for sharing their very personal stories that really go, and part of the healing process for them is just telling those stories, and sharing what they do every day with over 800 kids here in the tri-state. Very powerful stuff, and it all started at Moeller High School. I want to thank them all for telling their story. For Brother Ron, I'm Barrett Cohen from Glenview Golf Course. We'll see you next time.